All right, so it's time to input some data into our past order page. We can go in and fill in each card with some sample random data and add some random images for different restaurants. But in this lecture, I want to show you something really cool that you can do with the plugins that XD provides. And we're going to use a specific plugin called Google Sheets, which will allow you to actually input data from a Google Sheet into your design, and you'll see how cool and how useful that could be for inputting some sample data into your projects. So over here, I've put together a sheet with 5 restaurants and sets of data, including the date, the total price, items, and even the restaurant image and name over here. So we're going to be using this sheet in order to input some sample data into our design. And in order to use this sheet, you're going to go ahead and copy this link over here, which is also provided under the resources of this project. So if you go under sample data, you should be able to find an order history Google Sheets link.txt. If you open that up, you can go ahead and copy this link, which should open up this spreadsheet for you. And we're going to use that to generate the sample data. So let's go ahead and just minimize that and go back into XD. Now for this plugin to work, before we go ahead and install it, we would need to make a small change. We'll need to actually go ahead and convert our component back into a group instead for this plugin to actually work and using Repeat Grid. So first things first, I have 5 sample data in there, and over here we only have 3 with a 4th one behind this screen over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just bring this page up a little bit and stretch it out, and then let's go ahead and bring these two the rectangle layer with the gradient and the button all the way down to the bottom of the page. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Repeat Grid to make sure we have 5 items in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. That should be good for now. Perfect. So, and then the other thing we want to do is go to our component for this order card, which is right over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click and do ungroup component. So that will go ahead and essentially do the reverse of making this a component. So now this is not a component anymore. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drag this into here instead of the one we have over here. So let's go ahead and delete this one here. And we're going to go ahead and drag this one instead. But first, we're going to go ahead and just group that together and input that in here. I'm just going to go ahead and maintain the spacing 25 pixels from the top and make sure we're in the center as well. Perfect. And now we're going to use Repeat Grid and do that one more time. But this time I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that we also minimize our space to 0 right here. Perfect. And so now we can actually use that plugin, and in order to install it, we're going to go ahead and open up plugins down here, and you're going to go ahead and click the plus sign, and we're going to search for Google Sheets, press enter, and the first one over here by Impercable should be the one that we're going to use. So go ahead and click the get button over here to install it. I already have it installed, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this step. One more thing I'm going to do is go ahead and double click to select this rectangle and rename this layer or image restaurant placeholder, just so we know what this is for. And so now we're ready to input that sample data. So let's select the entire Repeat Grid group here. Head on over to plugins. So from the plugins panel, let's go ahead and click on Google Sheets panel. And then over here, it will ask us for a file source. So you can either upload a CSV file or sign into Google Sheets. But we're going to do paste URL link because we're working with a public file over there. So go ahead and copy that link that's available in the resources for the sample data of this page. Looks like there was something wrong with my Repeat Grid, so I just went back and redid that part again. If you see something that's off there, take a second to also fix that for yourself. But for some reason, my Repeat Grid was using the same card as the one in here, which is not what we want. We want this card for the past orders. So make sure your Repeat Grid is working properly, and then go ahead and click on it. And under the plugins, again, you want to paste the URL link and click on import. This might take a second as the plugin is importing all those fields. And so what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and map each sort of set of data to the correct field or the correct rectangle. So the first one, rectangle 17, we don't really need anything in there as it's the background. But for the restaurant name, we're going to go ahead and map it to the restaurant name in the Google Sheets. For the $0, we want to go ahead and map that to the total price. So it shows the total price. For the one item, which is the one over here, we're going to go ahead and map that to our items. And this date field over here, we're going to go ahead and map it to the date. And last but not least, for the image restaurant placeholder, which is this one over here, as we renamed it, we're going to go ahead and click on restaurant image. And we don't really need to select randomized content, otherwise it would put it in a random order, but we're going to keep the same order and just click on apply. Now make sure you have your entire repeat grid selected while you're doing this so the plugin will work correctly. It might take some time, but voila, it will go ahead and input the data as we'd expect. And I think that looks great. It's much faster than inputting data manually. And as you can see, the image URLs ended up working pretty good too. I'm going to go ahead and just select my layers over here and just bring them up using command in the closed brackets and just make this page a little bit smaller in terms of the height. We don't really need it to be this long. Just make sure my button has 35 pixels from the bottom, and it does. Perfect. So now we have our order history page ready to go as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and reorganize some stuff by moving these artboards here down a little bit. There we go, including these labels and this action sheet here, just to kind of keep our designs organized. And there we have it. That's how you input sample data using Google Sheets. And with that said, our design's pretty much ready to go. We're going to come back in the next lecture and just take another look at everything and do a final touch up of the small little details that we may have forgotten. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and move on to exporting this project and sharing it with our team members or colleagues or clients and so on. So let's come back in the next lecture to polish and wrap up this mockup.